Hello and welcome to episode 95 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. This is Ben Olson in Washington, D.C. With me today is Nathan Fox. How's it going, Nathan?
Just fine. We got an exciting show today with all the digital LSAT news.
Yeah, so the LSAC has finally ramped things up and they administered the digital LSAT, which turned out to be, I think, version 49 that they had created. And we have a ton of emails on that, and we just want to jump right into that. So you said you had a good email to get us started.
Yeah, we got one just says, don't use my name. Update. Don't drive 4 hours to take the digital pilot test and spend a ton of money on travel expenses only to get the starting times of the digital pilot LSAT and the June LSAT mixed up. Fuck. Hashtag dumbass. That's the entire email that I got.
Yeah, that sucks. So he got there at like 12:30 then. Right,
and that's brutal, driving 4 hours. Maybe he stayed in a hotel, sounds like, or something too. But yeah, I guess it was a morning test, not an afternoon test. By the way, do you know why the June test is afternoon?
I've always assumed that it was afternoon so that they could say, hey, look, we have a test in the afternoon if anyone complains about the morning administration for some reason.
All you have to do is just wait till next year's one time that we do it.
We offer it 4 times a year. And
just
one of them is in the afternoon.
Yeah. Just like the GRE, we have morning and afternoon, convenient morning and afternoon slots, just like the GRE. Well, it looks like they're moving in the direction of modernization here with this new tablet-based digital LSAT, and we have correspondents from across the country, an intelligence network, Ben.
Yeah,
they're all writing in. We got some very enthusiastic emails. So should we get right in?
Yeah, I do want to say one thing before we jump into them.
Yeah.
It feels to me like there has been 3 things that have happened since the GRE, since Harvard decided to start accepting, or at least preliminarily start accepting the GRE in lieu of the LSAT.
Yeah.
One, LSAC has finally made real on their promise to start pursuing a digital version of the LSAT. 2, the new CEO of LSAC has offered to, or has proposed the idea of offering the LSAT more than 4 times a year. And as we just saw last week, I think you emailed me, LSAC tweeted out that you can now take the LSAT as many times as you want. You're not limited to 3 times in 2 years. So nothing like a little competition to get the test to modernize and become a lot more convenient for everybody out there who's trying to take it.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if part of their motivation to start hustling is our stupid mistake we made on the podcast. I think it was my fault. Well, I got this email from Joe.
Oh, yeah.
That said, hi, Nathan. Heard your podcast. Well, actually, this was somebody who heard me on a different podcast. I was on the Law School Toolbox podcast with Allison Monahan. And Joe heard me on that show and wrote in and said, hey, heard your podcast. As far as I know, the announcement of Yale accepting the GRE was an April Fool's joke. Or do you have info that I missed? Because we've been talking about it as if Yale followed suit. At least I have been talking about it as if Yale followed suit. And yeah, no, that is totally not a thing. That was a April Fool's joke. Man, do I hate April Fools. I really do. It is the dumbest thing ever. And so yeah, sorry. Our bad. We're stupid. Yale is not accepting the GRE, at least as far as we know.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that too is that after you told me, I started telling everybody, and then one day I wanted to send somebody an article about it, and I Googled it, and I couldn't find an article about it at all, and I was like, wow, no one is writing about this. And I just let it go. I was like, okay, well, whatever. I thought Yale would have some notice, but yeah, I should have
fake news
clued into that. I was as gullible as you. So
well, we're as gullible as everybody else. Fake news is everywhere these days.
Yeah.
It's very easy to retweet shit that's wrong and just to keep re-spouting off stuff that's wrong. So anyway, we apologize for that. And notice we are correcting our mistakes because we are evidence-based people. All right. Anyway, so you're happy, Ben, about the progress the LSAC is making toward a more modern, user-friendly version of the LSAT?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the changes. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think especially it's very nice getting rid of the restriction. Have we even talked about this on the show? There is no more restriction, Ben. There's no more restriction for taking it 3 times in a 2-year period.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was just mentioning.
Yeah. That's mind blowing. I've been for 10 years. I've been helping people strategize about, how do I judiciously use my 3 attempts and when am I ready? Do I know if I'm ready? My gut. What was your gut when you heard this news?
Oh, well, in my mind, it doesn't change things a whole lot because I still feel like if you're not close to being ready, you shouldn't take it.
Agreed.
That said, I feel like, hey, if you're on the fence and you were kind of like, oh, should I take it or should I not take it? Just go ahead and take it. Because now you get the experience. If things go well, great. If they don't, well, then you'll take it again anyway. So no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be weird. 2 years from now, we're going to be in a situation where we're working with students who have now taken it 7 times.
Yeah,
right?
That might look a little strange, but I guess, possible.
Well, it may or it may not, right? And that's why we do need to get Anne on the show to talk about this stuff. So we reached out to Anne yesterday, and she responded from Dubai, where she is on her 15th wedding anniversary vacation.
Okay,
so
cool.
She is not available. But she will be, she said, next week, I think. So if we can get her back next episode, we can talk about the implications and strategies for why you would or would not want to take it 3 or 4 or 5 times. But, in the moment, for people who are like right now deciding whether to take the June 12th test, if you're close, if you're on the fence, I say go for it. And that includes people who, I had a girl a former student of mine, who was telling me that she was crying from the good news because she's already taken it twice.
Yeah. And so now she doesn't have to worry about it.
And she was super stressed about June 12th being her last attempt, and she's not happy with her practice scores. And what do I do? Do I take it or do I wait for September? And so now I think it's like, hey, whatever. It's not optimal to take it 4 times, but it's also not that. It's not possibly the end of the world, right? And given that we know students in Harvard who have taken it 3 times and we know students in Stanford who have taken it 3 times, I think it can't be the end of the world if you take it 3 or 4 times, and so now it was like a very easy decision for her to take it on June 12th. Hopefully she does great. Hopefully she's done. But if not, then she's always got the, backup in September.
Hey, this is a total random quote, but I think it is somewhat fitting for this situation. And that is, I don't know who this was. It was some movie producer, and I just read it a couple weeks ago. And this producer was talking about actors or celebrities, or anyways, people who get their start in kind of shady ways, right? Like they start in porn or something like that, and then they become famous and they move away from that. And this producer said, success will forgive many past sins. People just don't care. And I was thinking about that when you were talking, and I was like, look, at the end of the day, you take it 5 times, but if you hit a great score, that success is going to forgive a lot of your, quote, past sins for taking it so many times. Because it's like, dude, at the end of the day, I did it. I succeeded. So let's talk.
That seems rationally, intuitively, that seems to make all the sense in the world. We can, maybe Anne will come on and try to talk us out of that idea, but that seems totally legit to me. If you take the test 20 times, you're not going to get lucky and get a 175. It's just not going to happen, Mm-hmm. People who are scoring 150, if they think, oh, all I have to do is take it 20 times and then I'll eventually get a 170. No, you won't. You won't. Some people are gonna take it 1,000 times and never score 170. So it's not like you can just brute force. I mean, of course, you should be doing lots and lots of practice tests, lots and lots of review. That's how you get better. But taking the official test a zillion times is not going to. You're not going to get lucky. And if you take it 6 times and you don't get into school, it's probably because none of those 6 were very good.
Yeah.
It's like they're not discriminating against you because you took it 6 times. They're discriminating against you because your highest is a 152. Mm-hmm. And they don't admit people like that. So that's why you didn't get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. We have a hypothesis, but
we're
Ann
ready.
can come on and shoot holes in that.
Sure.
We like fighting with Ann. We were fighting with Ann last time she was on, so that'll be fun.
Friendly fighting.
Yeah, of course. Cool. You want to dig into this first report from the successful report from the digital LSAT? Someone who actually made it. Hashtag dumbass did not make it, but
yeah, sure. So this first one, well, let's see here. Hannah actually wrote this to you. Do you want to read it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. It says, subject, digital LSAT was fucking awesome with like a bunch of E's. That's the subject line. Hey, Nathan. Aside from waking up at 7 a.m., the digital pilot was awesome. They even gave us the $100 Amex cards right at the conclusion of the test. I was shocked. Basically, it was a Samsung tablet turned sideways with logical reasoning, argument, passage, game rules on the left, and question-answer choices on the right. Along the bottom, there was an answer tracker with each number and a bubble under it that showed your progress and which questions you skipped or completed. You could flag questions, and these questions showed up along the bottom, so you could go back to questions. You could jump to any question in the section by selecting them at the bottom of the screen or just go in order. To the right side of the answers was a box you could tick to essentially cross out the answer choices if you had eliminated it. Oh, cross out the answer choice if you had eliminated it, which made things super quick and easy. If answer choices were too long to fit on the screen, you could scroll down or collapse the answers to only see the first line or so. Oh yeah, there was a section timer at the top right corner and it counted down your time. You could hide the timer until the 5-minute warning, which automatically pops up as a little dialog box. And then it is outlined in a red box in the corner for the remainder of the test. They provided stylus and pens for use for the test. Any thoughts about that? That all sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that several people have mentioned is that now that you have the timer right in the corner, it's all done by your tablet. And so you're not going to have any proctor errors. Yeah,
and that's fantastic. No proctor errors. We've heard of proctors giving 5-minute warning when there was actually 10 minutes left.
Yep.
We've heard of proctors not giving a 5-minute warning at all. Different things like that. So that's cool. I was very interested in finding out if you could hide the timer, and you can. So that to me is really good, to hide the timer for the first 30 minutes. The timing after the 5 minutes that's going to be outlined in red, that's a little aggressive for me. I would wish that was not there. I would wish I could turn that off.
Yeah, I wonder why they felt compelled to not allow you to
turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
they don't want any excuses or something. I don't know. Although it seems like when you turn it off, it's on you.
It's on you. And as we'll see with the rest of these emails, they went to a lot of pains to make this pretty much the same experience as taking it on paper. Like, you have the ability to underline and all these sorts of things. So, and you can cross out answers just like you can, on paper. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just sort of a strange decision that they've made to force you to see the last 5 minutes. I mean, you're forced to get the 5-minute notice because it's a pop-up.
That's fine. You should be able to then dismiss it.
Yeah. And from what I understand, you can, and then you just keep going. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Strange, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's the game, and it only affects 1/7 of your time during the section, right? So you've already done the bulk of the section at that point. People think like, oh, it's crunch time now. I got to do something special here in the last 5 minutes. Like, no, you don't. You should have already gotten the bulk of the points that you're going to get. You should have already gotten 6/7 of the points that you're going to get.
Yep.
Probably you should have gotten more than 6/7 of the points that you're going to get because you've done all the easy ones already. And you're working on some of the very hardest ones now, and you need to just be calm and careful and get one more right after that 5-minute warning has been called. Not 5 more right, one more right, and then maybe one more after that, but not 5 more. You're just not going to do that accurately. Yeah. So it's just not that big of a deal. It affects a sliver of your time, and I'm not worried too much about the timer. Oh, by the way, we should say that maybe we should make a bet. When do you think the actual test will be administered on digital for the first time? Because this is just a trial. These were not official scores. They were reusing an old practice test, it seems. What's your guess on how soon this thing is going to actually happen?
Well, actually, so at some of these places, they had an LSAC representative there taking feedback.
Oh, wow.
And apparently they're looking to do this in a year. So
wow.
We'll see.
So they claim.
We can still bet. But that's at least one LSAC representative's comment.
Yeah. Do you know how over-under bets work? I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Well, one participant in the bet just says a date, proposes a date, and then the other just takes the over or under.
Oh, got it. Okay,
and that's it. Yeah, tie goes to whoever sets the date. So if you want to set a specific test administration, if you nail it, you win. Otherwise, I get the half of over or under.
Okay, so I'm going to go with June of next year.
June of 2018.
Yep.
That's your bet.
That's my bet.
Okay, that is, well, I cannot possibly take the under. There's no way I can take the under. I have to take the over. So I will take the over, and we will bet I don't know, something. We'll figure out the stakes. Yeah. The Amazon book of our choice, or something more fun than that, maybe. Although books are fun. Yeah. I went to the bookstore yesterday and bought 6 paperbacks. I'm super excited.
Holy cow.
There's this great bookstore in downtown LA. It's called The Last Bookstore. They have a labyrinth of books, like where they've actually built an arch and they've built these crazy, like it's a maze, sort of. It's in an old bank building, and they've taken over the entire bank with books and art and just all kinds of cool stuff. And I go nuts when I get in there, and they have those. I love a little pocket paperback that I can literally put in my pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just stacked up a whole bunch of mostly old science fiction. So I'm excited.
Dude, I read a fiction book this week.
Dude, you also read another fiction book. You already talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that was 90% true, actually, according to the last chapter. But I read The Outsiders finally.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Have I read that?
It's like one of those ones that's required in middle school. But I never read it.
Wait, The Outsiders. Oh, yeah. Wait, is that kind of like a West Side Story sort of a deal? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
If I knew what that was, I could say. But
what are the characters in The Outsiders?
So the main character is Pony Boy.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's a quick read. But I think the cool thing is that it was written by someone who was 16. She was 16 at the time.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Really, when you think about that, you're like, holy cow, this is a really well written book. So
that's awesome. I have 2 different family book clubs going on right now. Okay. I picked up I was at the local library here, in Marina del Rey, and I picked up, they had a book sale going on, 50-cent paperbacks. And for 50 cents, I bought Mark Twain's Roughing It.
Okay.
And I really, really loved the first few chapters. Then it got into some boring stuff, but I've been kind of skimming some of the more boring episodes, including these long passages where he's just he's like reprinting parts of the Book of Mormon so that he can then basically mock it. But which I am really into the mocking part, but I'm not at all into reading these long passages from the Book of Mormon. It's really weird to see but he was, Mark Twain, he was like doing journalism as he was going across the country, on his way out to see all of the gold rush and silver mining stuff that he adventured to out here. So anyway, that book is super cool, and I've been reading it, and I suggested it to my mom, and my mom is now texting me passages from it and stuff. So she's really liking it. So that's cool. I got a little mini book club with my mom. And then I've also got I proposed it to my niece who's 10, and I proposed a book club, and I got a text message yesterday announcing she had picked the book, and she gave me a specific assignment that I have to read to chapter 3 by next Wednesday.
How old is she?
She's 10. And the book is called Kingdom Keepers, Disney After Dark by Ridley Pearson. And it's got an image of the haunted castle and of the face of Maleficent, who's going to be obviously the villain. And it's got a whole bunch of teenage kids on the front of it. So I'm going to be reading a teen novel about adventures in Disneyland or something like that. But I'm looking forward to it. I told her, she said I had to get to chapter 3 by next Wednesday. I fired back and said, hey, let's make it chapter 4. All right, if you're going to be serious about this. And so I'm excited. I've been needing to get like locked into books. So I have two book clubs and a stack of other books that I'm excited about. So it should be a good summer of reading.
That's bizarre because my dad actually just did that in the reverse. All of a sudden he starts texting me and he's like, you need to read books by Thomas Sowell or Sowell. And I was like, okay. It really came out of nowhere, and he kept texting me about it. So I was like, all right, well, which one do you recommend is the best one to start with? And he says, Intellectuals and Society, which is such an abstract title that I was sort of like, Intellectuals and Society. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into this, but in any case, out of respect to my father and the fact that he was oddly enough like just barraging me with texts and trying to get me to read books all of a sudden, I was like, okay. So I went and got it, and it is actually extraordinarily fascinating. It's basically arguing that there's a group of people which you could call intellectuals or the intelligentsia, and a lot of their arguments are very persuasive because they're very good at talking, but because they have a certain heightened sense of their intelligence and their knowledge, probably because they've done really well in school and everyone's told them how smart they are since they were kids, they have a tendency to sort of veer off of their areas of expertise into other areas and make public pronouncements about those things and be horribly wrong. And so the book is just going through a lot of comments by respected, quote, intellectuals who have been horribly wrong on a whole host of issues and never really faced any consequences for it, but have actually influenced society in a lot of different ways. And so the book is sort of funny, but even just today I was driving in and he started talking about Ronald, or I can't remember the guy's first name, but Dworkin, which I thought was interesting because there's, at least like one or two passages about Dworkin.
You mean reading comprehension passages about Dworkin?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that guy. And just like various things that he said, and very confidently so, but turned out to be horribly wrong because they don't really take the time to, become familiar with that idea. They're just like, oh, I'm smart. I know what's going on out here. And they're almost like sort of, condescending when they take these positions, and they have people who argue against them who are experienced in those fields or those ideas, even very mundane things. Anyways, it's turned out to be kind of a fascinating book that I would never have thought to pick up on my own.
I love it when we encounter LSAT stuff in real life.
Yeah.
Like, I was at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art the other day, which I really love. And I happened to encounter this mirrored sculpture. And I went up and looked at the mirrored sculpture and checked out the name. And sure enough...
Noguchi? Or what's it?
It was, I forget the exact thing, but it was somebody who had... it actually wasn't that one, but it was similar to that. It was, now I'm botching the story. I'll have to look it up. But I took a couple of photographs of the sculpture because it was definitely somebody who had been mentioned in a reading comprehension passage. And I was like, oh, I feel like I know slightly something about this. I've heard of this before, at least. I'm not like a total idiot.
Yeah, like the positive light, negative light thing, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the picture is cool because it has a perfectly mirrored surface where you cannot penetrate the surface of the sculpture at all. Like you can't, you're actually not in a way, you're not even seeing the sculpture because all you're seeing is yourself and the room, like wherever the sculpture lives. When you have a perfectly reflective sculpture like that, it's kind of neat.
Cool.
We're not like total what's the word? We're cultured, Ben.
Yeah. we have just enough knowledge to say something in response to something on that topic and then quickly move on.
Cool. So should we get back to this?
Yeah, sure.
All right. For logic games, they gave us a book with a bunch of pages for scratch paper. That sounds good. For reading comp, you could read the whole passage without the questions, or you could choose to see the passage and the question on the screen at the same time. I found that making the text the smallest size option was helpful so that I could read it all without scrolling. They also had options for adding your own numerical annotation. Don't do that, not necessary. The coolest part was that when it referenced a term or inline type of question, it automatically highlighted that line in the text so that when you got to that question, you didn't even have to look for it. You just go right back to the passage and it was there highlighted. So says it saved a minute or two overall. Writing sample, they gave you a little USB keyboard and you plugged it into the tablet. So writing sample is going to be typed. That makes a lot of sense. I really wish we could use this for June. I found it so much easier and less stressful. Hannah. And then Hannah, thanks Hannah. And then Hannah gives a PS. I guess the downside is that one guy's tablet completely shat on him in the middle of the 4th section and he couldn't complete the test. He still got his gift card though. Ha.
I can't imagine them not giving it to him. Oh,
they're like,
you didn't finish.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's like Willy Wonka. Like you did not complete the. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, you stole fizzy lifting drink. All right, so there's a report from Hannah. Any thoughts about any of that?
No, it's interesting to see that she liked it so much. So maybe they're almost there. They're almost ready to get it rolled out.
Everybody's saying the same things here. So maybe you want to just kind of skim through this next one?
Sure. Yeah. So Ben and Nathan, I took the digital LSAT, TM, all rights reserved, yada, yada, yada. Yeah.
I love when our correspondents are throwing jokes in there.
That's there are a few points of interest. First, the pilot was prep test 73, which sucked because I just took that a week ago. So yeah, that really does suck. So it was boring as hell. The upside was I finished early enough to tinker with the testing device. Let's try to break it. Okay. Yeah, you get a 10-inch Samsung. We knew that. Let's see. it's modified so that it's stuck in the LSAT app, so you can't get out. That's not surprising. None of the hardware keys work, and the screen won't turn off. Try to turn this off. I don't want to see this anymore.
That's awesome.
You can't access standard settings or any home screen or other apps. It has no power cord, but it didn't run out of battery or show any indication of low battery. Well, maybe it did for that guy.
That one guy, it didn't work at all. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
The tablets are scanned along with your admission ticket to pair them. Your tablet shows your face and your seat number in between sections so it can be checked by proctors.
Wow.
Yeah.
This all sounds official, dude. Like this, man, June 2018 is looking good right now, actually, for when this thing will launch.
Yeah.
I'm almost wishing I would have taken the under because this all sounds very official. Like this sounds like they're seriously going to do this.
Yeah.
Because all this shit is like, there's a lot of functionality going on here.
Yeah. It's not like it's breaking and they're like, oh, well, thanks for showing us that it doesn't work. We'll go ahead and work on that.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a demo video that shows you the features and functionality and then the opportunity to practice with dummy questions for 5 minutes. Okay. The proctor reads the instructions, then presses a button on a laptop with a special peripheral that wirelessly communicates to the tablets. The time is automatic, along with an automatic pop-up for the 5-minute. Yep.
You know,
yeah.
This is all. Hopefully, they'll evolve to a point where their proctor is not the one reading the instructions. That's dumb. That doesn't need to be a human. That should be pre-recorded part of the functionality of the tablet. And because they should also be moving to a situation where you sit there with headphones and you just are the tablet administers the test to you, individual from how it gets administered to everyone else. But anyway, I mean they're making steps in the right direction.
Well, I think this illustrates actually the fundamental shortfall of the test. The test was Prep Test 73, right? And so basically what they've succeeded in doing, which is great, they've succeeded in taking a paper-based test and transferring it to a tablet and making it possible for you to do it all on the tablet, except for scratch paper. But here's the problem. Like, that's not the main advantage of having it on computer. The main advantage of having it on computer is to do away with all, like you said, the proctor, this whole stuff, meeting together at 8:30. The guy who showed up late and was hashtag dumbass could be actually hashtag smartass if he just could take it at any time.
Yeah.
The other thing is that they need to do computer adaptive testing. It would have been really cool if they had tried to roll that out and see how that would work with a bunch of people, because then you would only have to give everyone 50 to 60 questions and you would have a more accurate score, right? We wouldn't have this 3-point swing. So I feel like in some ways they've made a huge step. In other ways, they are still just getting started barely.
Well, right, because the fundamental problem, the big problem, is not digital versus print. The fundamental problem is this thing is only offered 4 times a year. That's the pain in the ass. 4 times a year is the problem. If you could just make it offered 10 times a year, no one would give a shit if it was offered on digital or on print. It wouldn't matter because you'd have, you know, if it was once a month, even, you know, that once a month would be awesome, because then it's like, hey, well, you're not ready this time, but maybe you're ready next month, or you got a wedding this month. That's fine. You can take it next month. No big deal. And it would be so much more user friendly. The 4 times a year is a major hassle for people. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, the move to digital does seem like a move in the direction of being able to offer it more times a year, because hopefully the technology will be more flexible. But until they get to a thing where you can just take it on your own, right? Where you just show up and they give you a tablet and you're on your own. Until they do that, then they haven't actually, they haven't made it any easier for themselves to administer it multiple times per year. Yeah. So, because same thing, like computer adaptive, you're right that if they did computer adaptive, they would be able to give less questions, and they'd be able to correctly assess your score in a shorter amount of time, which would be great. That's also a win. But I don't care about that nearly as much as I care about just having it offered more than 4 times a year.
Well, wait, I actually think that's the key to being able to offer it more frequently, because if you have a computer adaptive test, then you pull from a random pool of questions.
Test bank, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not everyone's test is the same. So it's not like right now they're running into the problem is you administer it and you have to administer it everyone at the same time. Otherwise they go and start telling their friends. But if you have computer adaptive, you can't tell your friends because you took a different test than they did.
Right, because there's a test bank, but it's a big test bank, and it's like, here's all the questions that are being tested for 2017 and 2018 and 2019 all at once, and they're all different levels, and you only get a small fraction of those depending on. That's right. You're right. That would be better. I mean, either way, it seems like they probably need to create more questions. I mean, they're constantly creating more questions, right? New questions, but. Yeah. If they're going to offer it more times, even if computer adaptive will save a little bit because they'll be exposing less questions per test, right? Mm-hmm. And a different set of questions per test.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, they're moving in the right direction.
Yep. So this person, can we use his name?
Doesn't say not to.
So Jacob says, Nathan is going to hate this. So, do you hate this? The time is running as a constantly visible countdown. Yep. This is what we talked about earlier.
I hate it, but you can click to hide it. So, for 6/7 of your test, you don't need to have that timer. You just turn it off.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then it pops up after 5 minutes. But yeah, that's not that big of a deal. I'll let it go.
He continues, the tablet shows one question at a time. This is actually sort of interesting because it makes it a little bit difficult to implement, I think, the advice that both of us give in games to do the if questions first. Because you're given the question one at a time, and so unless you randomly jump ahead to the questions to see which ones start with if, you can't like quickly see that. I mean, you still could search through them, but that also seems a little like.
Well, so on the games, then, if this were the way they would do it, I guess we would still recommend you do the list question first. It's probably the first question, the list question. You do that first, and then if the next question is just a general must be true or must be false or whatever, you just hit skip, right?
Yeah, immediately skip it.
Skip all of them except for the if ones, and then you go back. I think people would be able to adapt to that relatively quickly.
I guess now that we're talking about it, it's not that hard. And the other thing here is that, as people have noted, you have all your answers at the bottom, or all the questions at the bottom, right? Yep. So you can see which ones you've answered and which ones you haven't. So jumping back is very easy. You can just tap on it. In any case, on RC, it shows the passage on the left. Yep. You can also see it with the whole passage without the question. Mm-hmm. That's what we learned earlier. So you have a stylus to interact with the tablet and select answers. And that stylus is also a pen. So one side is a stylus, the other side is a pen.
And it's an official digital LSAT stylus.
That's right.
So it's like, man, they're going to start selling this shit to people? Are they going to make students buy a practice tablet with a practice stylus?
Oh. Yeah, I guess they could. In theory.
They definitely could. They already sell hundreds/thousands of dollars of material to people who are studying for the LSAT.
Whoa, wait. So are they going to circumvent all of us and just say, hey, buy a tablet and then we'll sell you the tests?
Yeah, well, they've already
in-app purchases, right?
Yeah, and they've announced this partnership with Khan to do, to create some free LSAT prep program too. So they don't like the LSAT prep industry. They don't love us, I don't think. They would prefer that we're not around. They would prefer that they are the only ones who ever, get to sell stuff to these students. I could definitely see them, selling tablets for sure, and potentially selling LSAT prep through those tablets too.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? I mean, they're good at making money, so they seem like they could be setting themselves up here for continued profit.
It's interesting too because the official explanations that they have published, the super prep books, are pretty universally derided for their hard to follow.
Oh, they're not teaching. They're like technically correct, but they're just not instruction at all.
Yeah,
they don't help you to understand. It's just like here's how. I guess. I mean, I think it's still useful, and for someone at a very high level, you can probably benefit from reading through that stuff. But yeah, if you're starting off, that's not the place to start because they're not good at explaining their own stuff.
Yeah. So he goes on. Scratch paper is available for all sections. Sorry, you can only use the pen provided, which happens to be the other side of your stylus. Special features of the digital LSAT. A button on the right side of each answer choice allows you to cross it out. Yep. Okay. 3 different colors of highlighter. So the highlighter, okay, plus an underlining tool. Total waste of time. That's interesting. Highlighter and underlining. You can mark next to lines with, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. A button to flag a question so you can easily go back to it.
Whoa, wait. They suggested using, quote, so they're explaining, hey, here's how you can use these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they actually put a suggestion. I guess when they're just trying to like explain how to use it, they then say they suggested using 1 for main point, 2 for key evidence, or whatever you want. That's hilarious. That to be, wow. That's so strange. It's so weird that
it's also kind of bizarre too, because I would say only half the passages have an explicit main point.
No, and you can't, you can't figure out the main point of the passage until you read the whole thing. You don't know what the main point of the passage is until you have read it all. Because it'll start off talking about this one thing, and the whole first paragraph will be about this one thing. But then the second and third paragraph can be about some other better, improved, or different, or whatever. It can totally shift gears, and whatever the proper noun was in the first paragraph, that is not the main point of the entire passage necessarily.
Yeah.
So you flagging it like, oh, well, there's the main point, and then, oh, yep, here's the key evidence for that point. No, you don't know that. You chill out. Read the whole thing first before you decide what the main point is.
To be clear, if you read something and you think that's the main point, you can certainly hold that as your prediction. But then you need to see that the rest of the passage confirms that and doesn't go off in a different direction. And when it does, then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait, maybe the main point is right here.
Yeah, you're not reading the passage looking to underline the main point. You're reading the whole passage looking for the main point to emerge. That's going to become clear. Why, overall, what's the what are they doing here? What do they want here? And you have to read their whole argument before you can figure out what it is that they really want. Yeah. And Ben, as you said, there are many passages where the main point is never explicitly stated. Mm-hmm. They do not have to have a sentence that cleanly states the main point of the passage. It can be a feel that you get from reading all 4 paragraphs or whatever it is. This main idea will emerge from that. Mm-hmm. So, wow, okay, that's it's kind of bad instruction there that they're telling people to use these numbers to label stuff. That's just silly.
Okay.
Flags, we got that. Writing sample, we got that.
Yep. Oh, I like this. You're limited to 5,000 characters. Whew. That's
5,000 characters.
That's quite the length.
Yeah.
You'd have a lot to say if you could write 5,000 characters.
Well, one of these later letters is talking about how he was happy that he was able to write much, much more for the writing sample. He felt he was able to get a lot more of his thoughts out on paper on the page because of his because of the keyboard. Yeah.
Oh, I hate I hate writing by hand.
Yeah, same.
All right, overall impression. Since it was a test I had recently taken, I didn't get a good gauge for time, but it felt faster not to have to go to the bubble sheet, that is for sure. When I time myself just to keep track of how long I'm spending bubbling, I usually spend 1.5 to 2 minutes. So, hey, this thing saves you 2 minutes. All right.
Which doesn't benefit anybody. It's right. I mean, it benefits everybody, so it benefits nobody.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So now the curve has just been improved.
Yeah, no. If they make the test, they make the test easier. That is not necessarily good for you. That impacts the entire field the same, and that may be good for you or may be bad for you. Yeah. Like if they made the test easier, it would be really bad for me and bad for Ben.
Yeah.
Because there would be more people able to score, in our realm. But yeah, I guess if you're really poor at the test, then it might be good for you if they made it a lot easier.
He says that the running clock thing is bullshit. Eliminating proctor error for timing is good though. Yeah. Doing the games off the page meant a ton of room to make diagrams. Oh, yeah, because you're doing the games on the scratch paper, but didn't feel as comfortable as writing on the page. Okay? The app is very well produced. It has clearly gone through testing. The app said it was on version 49.
Damn.
Yeah, someone else mentioned, I guess someone took it in Wisconsin, and they said that when they were taking it there were a bunch of other people who are like in the testing industry, and they were taking it just to see what was going on with it. Yeah. And they had taken the MCAT when it went digital, and they said that when the MCAT went digital, their pilot test was a complete disaster. Like it hadn't been tested at all, or very little, and there was just a ton of glitches and it didn't work. Sounds like LSAC, for all the things that we complain about them, got it together, at least for this pilot.
No, most of what I have heard so far sounds really awesome. So, I mean, congratulations, really, to the LSAC. We like to poke fun, but it seems like you have made some pretty good progress already. So, good job, guys. Yeah.
Bottom line, Jacob says, if I had a choice, I'd probably choose the digital version. That's the same as Hannah. So win-win. So far, 2-0. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to take the next one?
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Nathan and Ben, I took the digital LSAT pilot today. Wanted to share some thoughts. Let's see. Anything new? We were provided with a thing to prop the tablet on. Okay, so you prop it up in front of you. Mm-hmm. Stylus didn't actually let you write on the screen. It's just functions for highlighting and crossing out answers and stuff. Okay. They gave us the pens as a souvenir at the end. LOL. What? What? What are you going to do with that?
Well, I guess you could use it as a stylus on your touch device or as a pen in life.
Oh, because it's just a stylus that works. It works for all right. I guess it works on a Samsung tablet, so it probably works on other stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a pen on the other end. Wow, that's great. That'll go into the Smithsonian someday. Some of the other test takers said they preferred paper, but I was happy with the digital format. I don't like dealing with pencil sharpening and worrying about taking time to bubble answers. So it was really nice to have that relief. Yeah, okay, fine. Got the clock, got the height. Oh, you do not have the auditory interruption for 5 minutes left. The warning just pops up. So that's actually kind of cool. I always startle my class when I announce 5 minutes. Do you get that, Ben? Like the people jump?
Yeah. People are like, whoa, hey.
Like I feel bad because they physically jump, but that's probably a good sign that they were immersed in the test.
Yeah.
Our only technical malfunction was with the keyboards for the writing sample. Some of the keys wouldn't work on mine, but they got me a different one, and it was fine. Major drawback for me was that it felt harder to comprehend and focus on the RC passages. I think there's some research out there that it's harder to retain information when reading on a screen versus paper. Yeah, that said, this correspondent basically got them all right or almost all right on the reading comprehension. So overall, yeah.
So on that point, one of my former students had a great idea. She turned on you still have the accessibility functionality for the tablet.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things you can do with that is you can invert the colors so that you actually have a dark screen with light text, and then you can adjust the contrast up or down.
Okay.
And so if you do a dark screen and then you actually lower the contrast, then you don't get this like bright glare.
Okay.
And I think I've actually read, and I don't think this is an option, unfortunately, with the accessibility, but I've read that the easiest format to read on a digital device is like sort of a light yellow background.
Okay.
I think that's an option like in your Kindle app. But in any case, for what it's worth, some people might find it easier to look at a dark screen if they ever have the opportunity to take it. So
okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, if that's your plan, then I would ask, do you already do that on your phone and on your computer? Because you probably should be. I mean, I don't know why not. If it's better for you, it's better for you. But
yeah, sure.
Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm guessing people who like to annotate reading comprehension will complain, or people who prefer pencils for games. Curious what you guys think of the format. Best, Anonymous. All right. So there's another report.
Yeah, so what's the score?
So far, that's 3-0 in favor.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we get to this last one.
Yeah. Oh, is this the last one from Not Really Brad?
This is Brad Pitt.
Yep.
It's so awesome, Ben, that we have this like intelligence network, thinking LSAT intelligence network out there.
Yeah.
In the world. I'm glad we were able, because what if we would have like talked about it on the show and said like, we can't wait for you guys, please sign up for the digital LSAT and let us know how it goes. And then what if we would have got like nothing?
That would have been sad.
That would have been so sad. But instead, we get multiple people, and one of them has a super cool spy fake name of Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Brad's written in before to the show. Brad figured out a way to change it's an email coming from his school, and it still shows up calling him Brad Pitt, even though his name's not Brad Pitt.
That's the one where I was like, wait, what, really?
That's some secret
that
agent
would suck
type
to have
shit.
this name, but yeah, that's pretty good. Brad, you have a future in the NSA.
Yeah.
Here's my thoughts on the digital LSAT, says Not Really Brad. Good morning. It was a shit show. Okay. Are we going to get our first negative? We'll see.
Possible.
The Proctors, possibly. The Proctors had no idea what was going on. Well, that's not new. And when all was said and done, it was 2:35 before we got out.
Ouch.
Well, that sucks, but at the same time, that's 6 hours later, right?
Yeah.
And they tell you to plan on 7, so
yeah. Plus, you're
not crazy.
That works out to a little more than $15 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much you're going to make as a lawyer anyway, so you should probably be pretty happy with that.
There is a 5-minute practice round for each section type. Yep. Okay. Which automatically adds 20 minutes to the test. Yeah, that would be annoying. Our proctor didn't know she had to start the clock for the 15-minute break, so we had 2 15-minute breaks. Anyway, I'm glad they did this, if only for the proctors to know what was going on.
It's, it's likely, in fact, it's probably, on average, it's almost guaranteed that the people taking the test are brighter than the people that are proctoring the test, I think.
Oh, for sure.
On average. Just because, I mean, no, sorry, I'm not trying to insult every LSAT proctor out there, but, these people they tend to be like administrative people at the school or just kind of random people from the community or whatever. And you get like old folks and stuff who are the proctors. And so, yeah, the group of, future lawyers of America that are sitting there taking the test are frequently going to be kind of sharper than the proctors themselves.
Yeah. Did I mention that I heard a bunch of people in New York and Philly fell asleep during this?
That sounds like an outbreak.
No, so what happened was they a bunch of people found out you're going to get $100, so they signed up and then they just went and fell asleep.
Wow!
But they did not give them their $100. They said,
Oh,
sorry, you were here to take the test. You didn't do that. See you later. So,
wow.
In any case, not Brad continues.
Mm-hmm.
LR was definitely easier / faster for me. It was very easy to both eliminate wrong answers, which would turn them gray, and choose correct answers. There were bubbles on the left side. Yeah. Okay.
Bubbles on the right side of the answers to click and eliminate and gray it out, and then a bubble on the left side to choose it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, and you could flag it. That all sounds great, and so Brad likes this part.
Yep.
Okay.
The question numbers, as we mentioned before, were listed along the bottom of the screen. As you went through, a little bubble indicated that you had chosen an answer. So you saw which answers you had completed and which you had not. If the question was flagged, a little flag literally would come up on the bottom of the screen. The entire process was just a hair faster for each question because you didn't have to go to the answer sheet in order to fill in a bubble. Yep, we've heard this. This sounds consistent. Brad is a legitimate source of intel.
Yep.
All right, so Brad continues. Point number 3. LG, the games were a little more difficult. The scratch paper beam away from the answers just seemed to make things take a little extra time. Not a lot, but maybe a minute or so for the section. The few brute force questions were especially annoying because marking incorrect answers meant readjusting the pencil to mark an answer wrong. Wait, what? Did I follow that correctly? The few brute force questions were especially annoying because marking incorrect answers meant readjusting the pencil.
Because you've got a pencil in your hand for the game, for like to sketch out the games. And then
and by pencil he means pen, right? Because you can't have pencils apparently.
Now it's just pens. So you actually have to do your diagrams in pen.
You have to do them in pen, and it's the other side of your stylus.
Yeah. So he's saying he doesn't like that he has to flip the pen the other way.
Yeah.
Well, he just needs to practice. They gave him a souvenir, so he can now at home, he can practice the flip move. He just has to get the flip move, which will be helpful for his secret agent skills anyway.
Well, here's another idea too. If you really want to just keep it in pen mode, and my students do this all the time because I have them do the games on a separate piece of paper anyway, so they can redo the game later. But just quickly write A, B, C, D, E, and then cross them out as you go.
Yeah. That's what I do on the whiteboard too. When I'm trying to demonstrate process of elimination, I'll just put A, B, C, D, E and slash them out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people always complain. They're like, I don't have time to do that. And I'm like, it takes not even 5 seconds, like 2 seconds.
That's 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So just practice that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With practice, I'm sure I could improve. Yes. Point number 4. Reading comp was about the same. It had the same positives as LR, but the entire passage couldn't be viewed alongside the answers at one time. Yeah, but you can scroll up and down, right? So
yeah.
So there was constant scrolling. Constant scrolling? I'm actually worried, not really, Brad, that maybe you didn't read the passage carefully enough.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Because it sounds like you're going back and looking for information a lot. Now, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions too quickly, but anyways, just something to keep in mind. Scrolling was easy, but my time is precious in the RC section. It might be precious because you're not spending enough time reading up front.
Yeah. Yeah, if you invested more time in reading the passage, you read it more carefully, you would be you might find that you have more time than you think. It's ironic, but that's the truth. I mean, I was working just the other night with a one-on-one tutoring student who's like scoring very high already. He's shooting for, like above 175.
Yeah.
And he's just struggling a tiny bit with reading comp. And we were, he's like, hey, how about this test? And I'm like, okay, sure. Reading comp. Sure. All right. Well, so let's read the passage. And we just silently, each of us just on Skype, we just silently sat there and read it.
Yeah.
And 3 times in a row, he got done reading the passage before I was done reading the passage.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but then I nail the question with no problem at all. And I don't like the wrong answers look so shitty to me. And I'm just like, well, this is obviously the answer. And he's still struggling with it. Like, but what about B? But what about D? But what about this other thing? And I'm like, well, dude, you read the passage faster than I did. And now you're struggling with the question.
Yeah.
It's how about, you just have to comprehend. And if you're not really fully comprehending, you're going to have a hard time with the questions. Cool. Okay.
Just a quick thought on that too. When I'm doing this timing thing and I'm just noting how long I'm spending reading the passage, I've mentioned this a bajillion times, but it's not entirely, but it's almost half the time, right? I would say between a third of the time and half the time is spent reading the passage. But then the answers just like fly.
Yeah.
So, in any case, he says, there were 3 ways to underline, 3 different colors of highlighter and numbers of ways to make notations. We've already laughed at that. That's pretty funny. I don't do any of these normally, so it didn't bother me, or I didn't bother with them on the test. Good. Yep. Okay. And lastly, he points out that when they point you to a specific line, they've actually already highlighted it in the passage, which is great. Okay, 5. Writing sample. For what it's worth, it was definitely easier. Of course, a keyboard helps. That makes sense. On the February LSAT, I think I got 3 good paragraphs in. Okay. On this bad boy, I got 6. The keyboard was handed out right before the section. Okay, cool. Overall, I think the digital LSAT would improve my score by an average of 2 or 3 points. And everyone else's possibly. So that
I was going to say, if you were the only one who was taking the digital test and everyone else was taking the print, then you would go up by 2 or 3 points. But since everyone's taking the digital version, nobody goes up.
Yeah, the extra time on LR would be extremely helpful to go from -2 to -0. Actually, I mean, this is what you were saying earlier. It might help some people and not others. It
would actually benefit Brad and hurt us, right? Because Brad would now be able to get -0 on logical reasoning.
Yeah, so it's almost
we
like
already get -0 on
if you're
reasoning.
almost there, if you're almost getting 0 wrong, this is going to help you. That said, for a lot of people, like you said, who are even lower, like the extra time might not help at all, right? Like you have extra time and you do another question, you can't get it right because you're just not understanding them. So maybe for those people, it doesn't make much of a difference, but for some, it will make a difference. Right. But anyways, games are not a problem for me anyway, so the extra time wasn't a big deal. RC was a wash. If we knew when they were going to make the LSAT digital, it might give me even more reason to wait another year. So it sounds like a win. He likes it on balance more than the paper test. And he ends by saying, I appreciate you guys discussing my options and laying down the facts. We only deal in facts on the Thinking LSAT. I'm definitely going to try to do this. Oh, wait, what? Okay. I'm going to try to hit a home run in June and apply. But I'm more open to waiting than I was before you guys discussed it. I'll send a follow-up in August or July as to how it went. Okay. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. They're going to take 6 weeks to give people their scores back.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, for this, you mean? For your analysis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the pilot program is going to take 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Which
is a bummer because I think a lot of people were taking this in preparation for the June LSAT, and they basically got screwed because
Suckers. Wow. That's awesome. That is.
We promised you $100. Here you go.
That is truly LSAC. Awesome. That's amazing. Because here we are thinking like, oh, you go to digital. Well, then they can just give you feedback right away, right?
Yeah.
It's digital. And they're like, oh, actually, it's going to take twice as long.
Twice as long. For one, what is it, like 1/30th of the number of people? But,
comedy.
Yeah, and they gave test 73, which is like, okay, a lot of people had already seen that test. So
yeah.
No win there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it sounds like 4-0, huh?
4-0 in favor. Yeah. Good job. Good job, LSAC. This is looking like clearly a step in the right direction. We will revise our estimation of that when this thing actually gets rolled out. We'll see. Yeah, they may or may not do another. Seems like maybe they're going to need to do one more pilot of this thing before they really launch it. But
yeah,
maybe not. Maybe they're just going to decide this was good enough and just do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how much they try to automate for the next round, right? Like you said, they could go a lot further. You could just have one proctor there, and person just checks out the devices or something. I don't know, and gets rid of their job entirely except for that. Who knows?
Well, and if they're going to do that, then they could also, I guess, if they went computer adaptive, it would just be so great if you could roll into a testing center at whatever your appointed time is, and they just hand you the tablet and sit you in a room and you just do it. And the tablet and the testing center are just kind of always you're being proctored by the system, right? Because that's how it works. That's how it works when you take the GRE or the GMAT.
Yeah.
You go into this room with all these blank terminals, and then the terminal just administers the test to you. And there's like no way you could really cheat, or there's not that much you could do. And there could be someone right next to you who's taking the NCLEX or a completely different exam. Mm-hmm. But there's one proctor who's like running the test center, and that proctor is watching everybody, and the systems are set up to watch everybody. That would be the amazing thing, because then, yeah, they would have less need for proctors, and you'd be able to take the test all the time if you wanted.
Yeah.
Or in 2 weeks, you could sign up and take it and get your results right away. That's where we're going if we're going to really make it nice for students. Mm-hmm. We'll find out, I guess, how much how much they really care about making this, easier for students to take.
Yeah.
But this is steps in the right direction. And yeah, four correspondence and 4 yeses.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Should we call it a show?
Yeah, I think that's probably good for today. That was a big ol' report from the digital pilot test of the LSAT.
Yeah. As always, you can email us your questions at help@thinkinglsat.com. You can also tweet us at thinkinglsat. You can tweet Nathan at nfox. Is that right?
That's right.
You can tweet me at Strategy Prep. We're always happy to get questions and tell you what we know, which may not be enough, but we'll do our best to help you out. And if you're so inclined, we also love getting reviews on iTunes. That helps us a ton. That also helps get the podcast out there. So if you haven't done any service this year and you're looking for some way to give back to your community,
absolutely,
think of us at iTunes. So, anything else?
Well, we might mention that we're both in business. I mean, we do love doing this show for free.
Wait, you're still in business?
I am still in business. I mean, who knows how long with all the stuff that's going on, the GRE competing and a free program coming from Khan. Yeah, I mean, it was nice while it lasted. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably going to play out the string here. I don't know what else I would do with my life if I wasn't doing this, to be honest. So,
are you going to walk around San Francisco with like a free LSAT services sign in like 5 years? And be like, I know a lot about this test. It's still paper-based, at least my advice, but I can help you.
Yeah, we'll see. So we both are independent, full-time professional LSAT teachers. Ben's business, Strategy Prep in Washington, D.C. He offers live classes in D.C. He offers an online class. He offers one-on-one private tutoring around the world on Skype. If you'd like to work with Ben, go to strategyprep.com and you can find out all about everything that Ben offers. And exact same deal for me. I have an online program. I have one-on-one tutoring via Skype, and I have live classes in both Los Angeles and in San Francisco. So if you'd like to learn more about everything I have to offer, you can go to foxlsat.com and find all that stuff out.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So you must be still going back and forth, huh, between the two?
Oh, it's so great, man. I'm really loving it, actually.
Yeah.
I live less than in the morning. If I go to LAX in the morning, for me, I take my motorcycle. It's incredible, actually. My commute, because I go to San Francisco like once or twice a month.
Okay.
And I teach a full weekend for my group that's there. Okay.
Yeah. Do you stay in the hotel or do you have a place?
No, I have friends and family and stuff. So I just stay with folks.
You have friends? Get out
I know.
of here.
Can
Come
you
on,
believe
tell
it?
us the truth. So you stay at the hotel and then no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I call the staff there my friends because they're paid to pretend to be friendly to me. So if I do the quick, sometimes I'll go for longer and hang out and see friends and stuff. But if I do the quick trip, I set my alarm here at like 6 a.m. I'm on my motorcycle at 6:15. I'm parked for free in the short-term parking at LAX, which you can do with a motorcycle. You can park it for free in the short-term parking, which is across the road from the terminal. Yeah. And so do you have like a backpack on or nothing? I have a backpack. I go just backpack. I can do everything in one bag. I have TSA pre, and so I'm standing at my gate in like 35 minutes from when my alarm went off. I mean, it's insane how fast the whole process. So you're in line. You're at your gate at 6:35. It'll be nuts. I mean, it doesn't even take me 15 minutes to get out the door. It doesn't take me 15 minutes to get to LAX. And then I'm like right across the street. I flash my phone, which has my boarding pass on it. I'm right at the metal detector for TSA. Mm-hmm. I don't have to take anything out of my bag. I don't have to do anything. I just like stroll through the metal detector and my gate is like right there. Oh, they don't make you take, wait, so your bag, you put that through something or you actually wear that? No. You just throw your bag through the metal detector. Yeah. But why is it faster? Because you're TSA approved? They don't. You don't have anything? Yeah, because there's no long ass line. You don't have to take off your outerwear. You don't have to take your laptop out of your bag. You don't have to go through the millimeter wave detection thing, that fancy detector thing where you hold your arms above your head. You don't have to do that with TSA pre. Okay. The TSA pre, there's no bins. The first time I did it, the people were like, I was like asking for a bin, and they're like, "This is TSA pre. We don't have bins." And you just throw everything right on the conveyor belt, and they just cruise it right through. I mean, they're How much is it? Is it like it's $80 a year or something like that? No, it's 80 or 85 for 5 years. Holy smokes! Yeah, and I mean, it's easily worth $10 every time you fly. Oh, I mean, it's worth more than $10 every time you fly, because sometimes that line will be so long, and then I just have this smug, cruise right past it. Anyway, then I fly to Oakland on Southwest, and those flights are always on time, never delayed in the morning. And I take BART downtown, and I'm just like standing in Union Square, San Francisco at 9:30 a.m. when my alarm in LA went off at 6, and I'm like in San Francisco, ready to go. Yeah. And San Francisco this weekend was beautiful. It was a super nice weekend. Do you get there on Saturday or Friday? A lot of times I get there just Saturday morning. Like I show up. And your class starts at 10? At 10, yeah. Wow. It's awesome. It's like it's kind of like a spaceship, like it's crazy that works. And then on the way back, I frequently get like this time I got delayed on Sunday night I flew out of SFO, and my flight got delayed by 4 hours because of runway stuff at SFO. But you know what the thing is about SFO? There's a bar there, and I have my laptop. And so, you give me a beer and I get a little bit of emails or whatever done while I wait for my plane, or I read a little bit. It's like no sweat.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, the commute's been fun. So my class is weeknights in Marina Del Rey, and then two weeknights a week, and then like every other weekend roughly in San Francisco. Although the one that I'm doing this summer is going to be 3 weekends in a row, so that'll be a little different. Sounds
like you owe the Wright brothers a thank you letter.
I do. Yeah, it's amazing. Speaking of that, I want to watch this there's a new show that just came out on Fox. It's Seth MacFarlane. It's like a Star Trek parody called Orville.
Okay.
I kind of want to see it. It seems like a geeky thing to check out. I hope it doesn't suck. I like Seth MacFarlane though, so
yeah,
we'll see. I guess, maybe we just leave it there, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks. Yeah, please keep those emails coming. We'd have a long backlog of emails, but we'll keep cranking through them. So thanks for writing, and we will talk to you shortly.